Change is uncomfortable. And for human beings, we are pussies when it comes to change. We do rather the devil we know. However, when you've experienced uncomfortable times in the past, and you then look back and reflect and connect the dots, you're like, yeah, this was actually really fucking necessary for my growth. Now, I want you to take that very concept and apply it to when you're building your physique. The answers you are looking for to get jacked are not found in a fucking given structured training split or for given niche exercises to solve your fucking shit lagging body parts. It doesn't really work like that. Optimizing these points will help, but we need to zoom out, broaden our horizon and gain perspective on what it is we're looking at. You see, if we want to see change, we have to do something that we've never done before in order to get that result that we've never actually had. Now, if we can take that concept and blend it with the fact that we need focused work instead of general work, then we will get to the goal more efficiently. Meaning, if we can put something that we've never done before, intensity, onto a focused area, a good given exercise with good technique, we will get the result that we've never had. Just training generally hard in any direction will not get you there, and not training hard enough will not get you there either. So the greatest skill we can master is being able to train to true muscular failure. And that is what we're going to discuss in this very video. So what we're going to go over is the mindset for training to failure. I'm going to show you what does true failure actually look like in the form of a set. How do you still make it direct, what I was speaking about with the focus work? The biggest mistakes people make when they are training to failure. There are two types of failure, and I want to highlight that because it actually holds a bit of weight of when you kind of shouldn't take an exercise to failure. And then finally, there are some people that actually don't need to go to too much failure because they're just not ready for it yet. So, the mindset for training to failure. Remember, going back to our point that we need to know that if we want to see change, we can't just tickle the fucking weights in the gym. We can't just go in without a plan and not apply progressive overload. We won't see the adaptation, or we can't measure to know if we're getting the adaptation. We have to go in there every time and think, I need to do something I didn't do last time. It could be I get an extra rep. It could be I've maxed the rep ranges on that exercise. Now I need to up the load and lift a new load that my body could not do before to get that change. It may not be either of those two. It may be actually the accuracy and the execution of that exercise was improved, meaning you connected with the working muscle, the range of motion was deeper, distance traveled was improved, and that way we still got a response. But you have to do something every time you train to get something that you never had before. Otherwise, you're just maintaining, and be okay with that. Sometimes there's a time and a place for it, like maybe in the depths of your absolute diet and you're trying to hold the numbers. You are like just trying to hold on to the tissue that you've got. But when you're in a gaining phase or maintenance, you have to go in there trying to change the fucking world to see a change on your physique. Otherwise, time is just ticking you by and you're not going to get the result that you actually wanted. So when you are training to failure, you need to have that fucking killer mindset, boys. You need to think, I am getting after it this set. And you almost want to look at the muscle, not part of you. You're going there to fucking punish that muscle, to rip it, to tear it, so it grows back thicker, stronger, bigger. And that is a critical mindset. You need to go in with that fucking killer ass mindset that you're going to dominate and tear that muscle fiber. So we're going to look, what does true failure actually look and feel like? And I'm going to show you a set here, which I fast forwarded it to the back end, so there's only like, you don't have to watch the full fucking set basically. So you'll notice you're getting towards failure when the concentric phase starts to speed up. Don't rush the way down. Here, now we're locked in, we're focused, we're driving, grind, get it, boom. And there was fucking nothing left in the tank on that given exercise. And that is what the true failure looks like, boys. You want to be fucking grinding that last rep out. Do you do it on every set? On the first one, you're close to it. On the second two, absolutely. You fucking send it absolutely to the wall. Okay, boys, now we're going to watch this set. And the reason for this, I want to cover the point of how do we still make direct focus on the working muscle when we are taking it to true failure. Because remember, we need that focus work as well as the intensity. And the way you get around this is you need to understand the actual exercise execution of that given movement. So as I'm doing this exercise, I understand a few key points. My chest, knee, or sternum needs to stay upright, and I need to maintain that throughout. That does not change. So the fixed portions of you don't change. So my other arm here is going to stay driven into the bench. I need to understand what is the function of the exercise and what 2 points am I bringing together, because that's when we're building muscle, that's all we're doing. We're stretching the origin and surgeon apart, and we're closing them back together under load. At this point, I understand my lat's going to start here. That's what I'm training on this exercise. And it's going to run up, 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 and it's going to attach onto the back of my humerus. So I need to think about driving my upper arm down towards my hip, or specifically, I want to drag my elbow down towards my hip. So as I go through the set, that is always the mindset. Where is the focus being pushed on? Where is the target area? How am I training it? And you want to really live in that mind-muscle connection. And as what will happen is, the beautiful thing about training with intensity, it doesn't start off hard, does it? It starts off very, very manageable. So you can still think exercise execution all the way through the set, and now we just start to turn it on as we get towards the back set. Drill your feet in, drill your arm in, keep this fixed, and then we just fucking send it, boys. We still keep the target area going. Drive, 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 drive. Punish that fucking muscle, live outside of it. And that's how we still keep the direct focus, by understanding where is the origin insertion, how do I bring those together, and then maintaining the stable position. Have those two in mind. The intensity gets progressively harder, 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 harder. Okay, so you dial it in and you fucking focus. But boys, you need to focus when you're doing these fucking sets. You can't be thinking about other bullshit. You can't be like coasting your way through it. Your full focus needs to be on trashing that working muscle, good technique, and then applying that tension to pure failure. Which leads me on to my next point. The biggest mistake people make when training to failure, and this is fucking criminal, is not having proper rest periods. And the reason I say that is, you would do set 1, 2, and 3. And for sure, I can imagine you put the same amount of effort into all 3 sets. The problem is, it is not you and your mind that is going to fail. It is the fact that the muscle, and that's what we're challenging, has not recovered adequately because you've rushed the rest period. So where the effort will be there, the output will not be produced, not from your own doing, but for the fact the muscle is not ready. So when you are training these big compound exercises, look at your heart rate. Has it come back down? Are we ready to go again? Has there been at least 2 minutes in between that set? Even on an isolation exercise, if you've not had 2 minutes, then realistically you're going to do that set, and are you leaving some gains off the table? Probably. And we've got to look at it like this. Those reps that you didn't get, not through effort, but through muscle not being ready, they were the reps that were going to grow your fucking physique. And you missed them and you left them on the table, but you still trained hard. You still put the effort in. The effort was still there, but the output wasn't. If the output was not there, the physique will not change. Do something you've never done to get something you never had. We have to remember that concept. And when you're training to failure, boys, you need to ensure you're taking those fucking rest periods. I can give you rough timings. Like if you said 2 to 3 minutes compound exercise, which is a multi-joint, like a lat pull down, chest press, fucking leg press, and 90 seconds minimum on an isolation, single joint exercise. But realistically, depends on your heart rate. And if you don't wear a heart rate monitor, fine, fucking not everyone does. You just think, has my heart rate come back down? Am I back in a stable space? And with those rough timings, am I good to go again? And that's the way we need to think about it, because if you get that right, you will be able to take it to true muscular failure every time. And that is going to lead me on to the next point. There are 2 types of failure. You've got muscular failure, where the muscle is going to fail first, but you've also got technical failure. And technical failure is where there are exercises that I would not take them to true absolute failure. Let me give you some examples. Okay, boys, so an exercise I would not take to true muscular failure is a back squat. Now, look at this specifically from a muscle building hypertrophy lens, not from a strength perspective. I'm not saying don't do a 1RM if that's your goal. You want to get like overall strength. It is good for that, and technically you would be near failure. But from a muscular standpoint, we would do a back squat because it challenges the quads through knee flexion, the glutes through hip flexion. And they'd be the two target areas that we're trying to grow from this exercise. Now, what will fail first, because your lower back is not as strong as your quads. The distance between where the bar is and where your hips is great, so the lower back will fail first. You will fail technically through curvature of the spine, then you will muscularly the quads or the glutes giving out and failing first. And that is why I would not do a back squat for this exercise. But we are going to watch a fucking little 180 just push up on the strength program. Boom. Little fucking squat out there. Used to powerlift, don't anymore. Like it, cool. Anyway, another exercise I would not do. If you don't have a spotter, then I wouldn't do bench press to absolute failure, because what are you going to do, boys? Fucking push it off your groin when you failed. It's not really going to work. I don't know what's on there, 120 or something. Anyway, we're not here to watch my fucking videos. Another one I would not do, which will be this, a standing military shoulder press, because the same principle applies. What's going to fail first? Your shoulders, or the fact that you're fucking stood on your feet and your whole midsection has got to balance you to get to that point? Get up, get up, get up, get up. We didn't get it, boys. We didn't get it. We went for it. We didn't get it. So the point I'm making is, if there is, you will fail from a technical standpoint than you will from a muscular standpoint. So what can we do in these perspectives? Well, we could sit on a bench to support everything else apart from the working muscle. We could use the leg press instead of a back squat. Even with a leg press, you want to be slightly careful, because if it's a 45 degree and it comes down and compacts on you, your fucking arsehole will prolapse out your head and you'll be in a bad space. So that is one thing I will say when I wouldn't take it to true muscular failure, because there's better options to look for. Remember, this is from a hypertrophy lens. This is not from the point of like, this is better than this. And the last thing I'll say is, people that don't need to train to failure, if you're within your first year of training, I wouldn't say you realistically need to take it to true muscular failure. And the reason is because you've not had the stimulus before. You've not had that dosage placed on the muscle anyway. So you will see good gains just from training with maybe 1 or 2 reps in reserve. And remember, when your first year of training, the main aim is to nail down your technique. And people have said this countless times. If you start training, get your technique right first. But you don't know what you don't know. And I've learned so much over the past 18 months understanding, if I knew this now, I would have applied it. But you've got to learn these trials and tribulations anyway. So I wouldn't take it to true failure. I would still train hard, but I would leave maybe a rep or 2 in reserve, just to allow for pure good technique, mind-muscle connection, good range of motion, good tempo, all that sort of stuff. And you will see great change off the back of that. So boys, we will wrap up that video there on why training to failure is so fucking important. Make sure you do it next time you're in the gym, and I'll see you tomorrow.